Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are here with another episode of Macross 7. How about you go ahead and remind us of what happened last time?
Last time was the music box of on the battlefield, and it was a very interesting episode because essentially it was a two-in-one episode. On one hand, we still have Macross, the City Seven, actually of Macross Seven, still stuck somewhere, and they're trying to deal with the discovery that one of the enemy pilots, at least one of them, is human. They discovered that their helmet has some kind of control device in the back, some kind of frequency that the apparently that they summarize that the enemy would use to control them, because otherwise it would be, zombie-like. That they are, of course, reacting to firebomb music in general, but firebombers music in particular. And that Melina's, who is the mayor, arranges for Firebomber to do a one-off VIP concert for this guy, right? Which was a pretty big room in order to do it. The dimensions in order to carry an entire band there, which they do, and it does have a reaction on him to the point that he sort of, staggers forward, singing the song, and then falls and collapses. On the other side, we have Giggle, Giggle. I can say Giggly, Giggle,
Studio
who is
Giggly.
tired of shenanigans, decides to send his entire fleet to attack the battle seven, which he does. Now, before I go into that, there's a specific pilot, which I forgot his name, who gets heavily foreshadowed that he is going to die. He literally made a music box for his young yeah, it was a son, who is still stuck in City 7. Because I know we have to find it because my family's there and all that. You know, if you've seen the, well, never mind, it's an old joke from the internet, and we'll save our family kind of thing. Anyway, people get that, they get that. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. Um, and he goes on and on. He even takes the box and tapes it to his control um, setup in his fighter, so he can see it. Right. Well, he dies. He gets shot in the back. His mech explodes. He's the second of the Diamond Force to go down. The first one was what's his name? Docker. But he got, spiritual. Spirit, I guess spirit, he got his spirit sucked out of him. This guy just gets blown to bits, right? Meanwhile, Captain Genius, Max, is forced to transform the Battle 7, which is the battle portion of Macross 7, in a very cool sequence, by the way. We find out that now all these ships are transformable for some reason. Well, the reason, of course, is because that's the gimmick of the show, right? Uh, and has a giant gun rifle thing that does the main cannon thing, and he destroys a third of the enemy fleet in single shot. To which Giggle, Giggle, goes like, "Oh well, I guess I gotta go," and he goes and runs away before he get the rest of the fleet gets shot by, and that was only 80% of the shot, not 100%. Um, and I said, well, why haven't they used it before? It's like, well, usually because one ship just jump in, attacks, and then leaves, right? But this time around, the fleet showed up. I was like, well, okay. I also see the escort ships actually use their firepower, their guns, because they never seem to use it otherwise. They always just fighter to fighter stuff or mech to mech. So that's basically it. We end the episode with the captured or perhaps liberated pilot saying some words. In fact, he basically does his name, rank, and serial number, uh, and those are the last words he utters. And clearly, he's human. We already say because of his DNA, but also because he identified with a UN Spacey unit, right?
He
And
did not.
huh?
He did not
They're not what?
identify as a UN Spacey unit. He only gave his
Well,
name, rank, and serial number. That's all he gave.
yeah, but you can check with that pretty easily. Your serial number is part of the military, so it's like, oh, let's just check the
Yeah,
serial
yeah, but
number.
there's more branches of the military than UN Spacey. We covered that with. Oh, God. Sorry, the last guy in my head is Newman. Bowman? No, not Bowman. Dyson? Was it Dyson is the last name?
Yeah, It's Samuel
Yeah,
Dyson, yeah.
yeah. When we were going back over Dyson's past historical record, the fact that he was like within other militaries of the UN, so it's entirely possible that this guy could have been anything.
Yeah, but at least he, confirmed that he's human and serve in the military for capacity somewhere. Because otherwise, that wouldn't be your standard response when questioned. The first thing that comes out of your mouth is, which, by the way, standard training. Well, it used to be. I
And
don't think it's at least,
that
and the
that's
U.S. is now soon.
that's why I brought it up before. Remember, I had that stupid theory that maybe they brought him back in time or something like that, because it's like no one else has ever given that response in the show before. So I'm like, oh man, that's like World War II. I got captured by the
No,
Japanese shit.
Misa does that when she's in being interrogated by the Centrati. And they get tired of it and grab her and go like, tell us the information. Actually, she
I mean,
does that
sure,
when
that was way back in First Contact. That was a long time ago.
yeah, but it seems to be that standard in UN or new UN
No, no, I
for
mean a
the
long
military.
time ago for me, my memory. That's why I didn't remember
Okay,
it.
yeah, yeah. So it seems to be standard thing. It used to be okay. The reason why that is standard in or used to be standard in the American military was because of Geneva Conventions, which allows the prisoner to identify themselves as such. Basically, it's a sort of I'm not going to give you any more information. It's standardized and it's a way of invoking the Geneva Conventions by way of saying I am a soldier, I've been captured, I expect to be treated fairly according to whatever. People who suck the spirit out of civilians, I don't think they care about the Geneva Conventions, even if they heard about it or applies to them. But still, it's standard training.
I
Apparently,
mean,
the end.
to be fair, the last World War II movie I think I saw was what Hacksaw Ridge, which is literally about the Japanese shooting medics on the battlefield
Yeah,
intentionally. So who fucking cares?
to provide some context, and that was the episode. Um, and this episode is next one is Pretty Devil, which is episode 17. We're kind of halfway, 17, 34. No, we're less than halfway. We have to hit like episode 24 or
Yeah,
25
working
to
up
be
to
halfway.
49.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I dropped you a link to the board so we can do our, I guess, weekly board update. Board really don't get updated that much unless something big happens. Otherwise, it's like one or two lines here or there. But this time we actually got a character introduced and a character death. That's always worth looking at. By the way, it was Physica, which I think I've been saying is Physia this whole time.
Uh-huh. Physica.
I got a whole thought about why I don't think he should have been the one to die, but we'll get to that when I reach
Mm.
my Theta thoughts section.
Mhm.
But yeah, otherwise, we got Arenia Hayakawa down here. Just did not put that green line back.
Oh, you put a white line with her and Flower Girl because there is a scene where he escapes, finds her. She has a boombox, I think, still a little boombox that was playing Firebomber songs, and it reacts to it, and then collapses, and they pick him up.
Yep. One of the few characters that interacts with her, so it's worth putting on there. Also, I put the white line connecting him to Basara as representative of the entire band, considering that they play the music that wakes him up in front of him. And a white line between him and Milia because he did shoot her, but then she goes out of her way to try and get him to wake up. So it's not entirely antagonistic. It's just more unknown at the moment. And I have him still as a green line to Giggle and Geppernick because assumedly he might still be. We don't know how far down that goes or the backstory or whatever. That could change to a red line, I'm assuming.
It's very interesting. His name is Physica, yeah, S Fulcrum, and Fulcrum is the code name, NATO code name for the MiG-29.
Yeah.
Don't know if that was intentional or something that somebody thought it was a cool name
I
because it's
thought you were
enemy
about
that,
to tell us what a fulcrum was. So, give me a lever and I'll move the world.
yeah. I don't
Um,
think it's that many. I don't. That's a problem with that death. Is like it's. I mean, we saw the character before, but we never saw the character with such a build up that is like, oh, I really care about this character. Let's what happens to see what happened with Fizika. Oh no, this is the one that he gets. The background, right? It's like, I mean,
he's had a
one could
build up.
argue, really,
Yeah,
I didn't care.
I've got a whole Theta Slots thing about why he shouldn't have been the one to die based on that, but we'll get over that. Well, you were about to say something.
I felt more the death of Hayo Kasikasi more than I felt Facia. Because first of all, it seemed after when it
Well,
first
Hayos
happened, it
comes
seemed
out
like
of nowhere.
yeah, like oh, and just after the death of Roy as well, like they were really hammering. And I was like, yeah, no, this is we do kill some characters in this anime, right? There is an element of danger. Uh, but here it's like, no, he's just a sacrificial lamb. It's like, well, sometimes people die, you know, kind of things. Like, yeah, reminder that this is a war anime and people die. Poor him.
I mean, argue. I could argue that it's not a war anime anymore. Certainly, SDF Macross is a war anime. Macross Plus has the background of a war anime. Kind of like how in Top Gun they're training for something, but
Yeah.
obstinately it's all about what's happening on base. And that way, Macross Plus could be considered a war movie. Macross 7, I do not feel like that, but I have actually also written something about that in my latest thoughts. So, anything else to say about the board before we move into said thoughts?
Not really. Not really.
Okay. Let me just go ahead and hide that then. Latest thoughts. I've tried my damnedest, but for the life of me, I can't place those three veterans that we've seen across two episodes now back to any character from past shows. They do paint interesting figures, though, given that they would be the rare few that would remember pre-apocalypse Earth. The average age of everyone we see seems to err on the side of under middle age, meaning they'd be children when the Earth was wiped out or not alive yet. These old guys would still be able to tell people about what life was like before the Unification War, even.
I also like the fact that they wear their uniforms in that one sequence when they take out the monster. They destroy a
The
building
old
with a
style
single.
uniforms.
And I gotta say, I'm liking. I'm not really liking the new uniforms with all that bling. Right? I know
Um,
we saw kind of that also in Macross Plus, but it
well,
seems so exaggerated
I
with all
will
the
say
thing.
I understand it, only because to me it feels like a merging of Zentradi uniform design and UN Space uniform design. Again, I think I told you before, I brought up before, if you imagine what, like, say, Warren wore back when he was getting interviewed by Britai about what the hell was
Mm,
going on with the spying mission, not the spying mission,
yeah.
the one where they were listening to stuff in a ship during Min May's performance. He's wearing this like very almost regal red uniform with all this bling shit all over it. So it looks like they brought in elements of their uniform design and added it to and merged it with UN Spacey thing. So I like it as kind of like a callback of both things being brought together.
And even back in SDF 1, they did say that they had already Centrati in their military, right? And because they needed to fill the numbers. And there was the whole thing about Hikaru saying, "Oh, we're gonna have to segregate because it's dangerous that we have these people here. They might turn on us, whatever." You know, and Glow was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be an asshole, but sure, I'll do it." You know,
Yeah.
which and even and which is kind of weird because they even cooperated. We have a scene later on when they try to rescue Min May, where you have a Centrati dressed as a Centrati soldier. The flight suit that they use, not the combat
Well, I
uniform,
mean, it wouldn't have happened
helping
back then, obviously, because one, the Earth has just been destroyed and we're in rebuilding efforts, and two, we're not unified yet as a people because we're still
No, no,
dealing
but
with the
that
fact that
was
the Zentradi are rising up every so often in these angry spurts.
yeah, but that's not that wasn't the point. The point was that he actually cooperates to convince what's his name? Gemlin? No, that's someone else. Um Quantum that they're under attack. Right. And then he turns around and is like, hey, you think that was convincing? And he's talking to a guy in Battleroid, right? He's in a robot. He's like, sure, it was fine. He's using a speaker to talk to this guy because he's a human. He's like, hey, can I have a light? And he literally uses his gun to shoot the end of the cigarette, giant cigarette that he's smoking in order to. So they're like just, oh yeah, sure. You were great, no problem, right? He almost gave him the thumbs up with a giant robot, which would have been funny. I think something that Max could pull off easily, but I don't think most pilots can. Um,
No, I mean, we already saw last episode, most people who own these things can't walk in them. So it's the Gundam Seed problem that we've made things too difficult for normal people. Alright, let's see. The three old guys destroyed a skyscraper with an errant shot of their monster, and it is played for laughs. They get yelled at by Milia, and we move on. How many people did they just kill? Not even our bad guys are tearing down skyscrapers full of people. Apparently, I kind of mixed up my last two comments. Also, I investigated them as much as possible, and I believe they are nobody. At best, Katsumi Suzuki, who voices Napier's guy on the back left every time they are together, also voiced Heio Kikizaki, Heio, who we know died. Werera Nates, I just said his name wrong a moment ago. I called him Warren. Werera Nates, who was a Zentradi, so can't be Napier's, and four other background characters, none of which who were military. So just based on the voice actor alone, couldn't be any of those people. So this guy is just an original person.
we know that Halo had family though. He had parents. We don't know if he had siblings though.
Well, this guy didn't get a last name, so as far as we know, he's not. Sorry, just naming convention here. I guess he's not Heyo Napers.
Hmm,
Anyway,
guess so.
yes, these guys are just getting away with killing a building full of people.
Hmm.
How is no one figuring out where the bad guys are storing their mechs by now? The infiltrators have been in City 7 for more than half the series. How much space is there for them to hide these giant mechs that all the civilians in the city wouldn't be calling in reports on sightings? Plus, now knowing that there is a civilian storage of Battleroids taking up space that the infiltrators can't use, limiting them even more, it's a failure of world building that makes everyone in City 7 stupid or willfully ignorant of the world around them.
Yeah, that's another thing about this series. It kind of zigzags. And mostly sags when it should sig. Stuff like this. It's like I mean, I went on and on about having these people went on a also that's another thing I didn't say before. They're going into in this city into a new journey to a new place, and they bring their giant decommissioned robots with them that they just happen to own, right? Like you would think things would be a little more, compact, like, you want to save space and all that. And it's like, no, we're just gonna bring our own toys from home, right? Because
I
reasons.
mean, think about it. I want to say in like Mech Warrior context, right? These are the machines that helped win or the survived the Zentradi War, Space War One. They're kind of like relics at this point. It's like they're like family heirlooms to whoever fucking stole them, I guess.
Or kept them around.
Well, what it's
Um
mean is how did you get them out of the military? It's like you must have fucking stolen. I almost want to think that they haven't been in their families for a long time. They really like, quick, sneak it aboard the immigration ship. They can't track us down.
Although we do see a lot of them either were meant as construction mechs or were modified to be that way. Those kind of make sense. Because if you have a private company, you would have one of those mechs, right? It's like, well, I guess you can strap a gun into this thing and use it. It's the closest thing we have. If there be more of that, then but
Uh,
only like a third of them were that. But the other
I
ones were
only saw
just regular.
one. I only saw the
No, there were
one
a
because I
couple.
commented on it. But more specifically, I think I've also mentioned in the background of the shot where Basara's house is, is that they have modern building construction equipment back, like
Yeah,
the cranes that are built around the building that to help lift everything and move it around. There's not like a giant mech standing back there building shit.
that other thing makes more sense, right? That you're like, oh yeah, bring out your construction mechs or whatever, because hey, private companies have them and individuals. Like, yeah, this is my version of a backhoe or something or an excavator. It's just in mech form, right?
Like I said, I don't know. We've never covered it up until now. Probably, I assume, never will again.
Or in this case, destroyed, because that's
I feel like my thoughts start off a little serious and then they go into like dumb shit and then my thoughts will come back around to being positive towards the show again. So just I guess expect that little narrative to come around. I'm pretty sure we mocked the entire premise of episode 15, but with the civilian-owned Batroids and trying to recruit pilots from the citizenry. But in hindsight, I think it actually makes a degree of sense. For one thing, this is a civilian location isolated and lost in space with a known enemy on board, as well as looking for them in space. Said enemy has military grade weapons while they appear to be severely lacking, to the point that they had no age limit on their test to get pilots. They are essentially pulling all of these old antiques out of mothballs and doing a draft disguised as an event. It really implies how bad off City 7 is, albeit with the dumbest of veneers.
yeah. I think we talked about this. It's like, yeah, trying to draft a civilian militia or guard or something like that kind of makes sense. The way they went about it, though, was like, uh, oh, because just they should have like a simulator. Like should just get like a computer. It was like, okay, playing this computer. I mean, they even had video games back in the SCF1, which sort of
No,
had
they
some of
have
the
it here still
mechanic.
too. Remember, one of the
Yeah,
dad.
yeah,
Well, I think it was either the dad or just one random guy said, "Oh, I've got the high score in Bat 2." I think he said.
yeah,
No one's even come close.
yeah. So you can try them first there, and then go like, okay, now we transition to, you know, uh, to whatever so you're trying to do. It's like, okay, fine, but here's like, oh no, just get in there and at least what happens predictably. Everybody who doesn't know how to do it crashes,
I
except for me, Mylene.
I think I made the joke during the episode, but I thought it again while I was rewatching for notes. Um, the people fail in the predictable manner that Hikaru himself failed when he first got in. So for all we know, there's a bunch of Hikaru's out there we wrote off because they fell over.
I mean, but I think the reason, but what happened to Hikaru was that he was a good pilot, and while when he was in Jet mode, he was doing fine. The moment he transformed, he's like, I don't know how this works, and then he failed.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You
Yeah,
know,
but eventually he came really good in that mode. How
yeah,
many of these people were just like Hikaru? Really good, but failed in the first moment? Hell,
yeah.
look at
Although,
Basara. He's really good in humanoid form. Sucks at Gearwalk, apparently.
yeah,
To the minor degree that, for one, we only found out he's bad at Girdwalk for some reason when Milia told him to transform into Girdwalk for no reason. But when he's telling the biker girls about how to train um, in the Batroids and everything, he specifically says, and you have to be real careful in Gerwalk mode, just out of nowhere. So it's a good carryover. All right, we got Mylene's little readout here. Birthday February 2nd, 2031. We know she's 14, so just add to the day. Her size is 153.3 meters, so Mylene is 503 feet tall. They typoed an M instead of a CM, so good. Gonna take it. Also, bust 79, hips 52, or is that, I don't know, head 52?
Height.
No, head? It's not height. We already know how tall she is,
Oh,
153.3 meters. Because I know W is waist. Head, maybe? And then bust? I don't know. But those are measurements Gamblin didn't have on his sheet, so a little bit of sexism there.
uh,
Interests are galaxy
Buzz.
drive,
It,
synchronized swimming, and fenching. That's not a typo on my half, that's a typo on their half. Unless fenching is its own thing and not fencing, a thing we've never seen her do. Favorite foods: Cadu Bowl, pizza, and mango pudding. Favorite artist: Alice Holiday. We already know that. She told it to her face. And part bass. Uh,
Base.
no, bass. Look,
It's what she plays in the
look. That
band. She
doesn't
plays
say
use
it.
the
Look, it
bases.
says part. Part bass. They have no context to say bass.
I think H is supposed to be hips. So it's breast hip waist ratio.
But your hips are your waist. That's what I'm saying. It can't be hips.
Yeah.
I have seen people measure the head. So, because normally I would think it'd be something below the waist, but then again, that would be
Well,
inseam.
it's supposed to be breast hip butt.
Look, I don't know.
It's supposed to be
Clearly neither of
it's
us
supposed
are
to be the
making clothes.
yeah.
My main issue was that that wasn't on Gamlin's sheet, but then again, I actually think she made this one up herself. She's the one that hands it in. Why else would there be a part, on there? No one even asked if you were in a band, let alone what your position was in the band. And it just goes to show how different Gamlin and her interests are. Gamlin wants to put together little ships and bottles, and she likes fenching. Alright, let's see. So the Milky Road wasn't some lyrical text or translation of the Milky Way. The biker gang imply that the Milky Road was the stupid roadway between the ships of the fleet. So Basara's song has essentially been a version of Life is a Highway, more so than some Pink Floyd introspection of life in the galaxy.
Be both, I guess. But knowing Basara, it doesn't have a lot of depth to it.
Well, for me, it brings it down a little bit, you know? Because if you sum up the Milky Road as some sort of like, say, Macross 7's own journey to the center of the galaxy, we're on our way into the Milky Way, on down a Milky Road, that sort of thing, that has some sort of like depth to it, but he's literally talking about the road between ships, which is the dumbest thing already, and then he wrote a song about it. Let's see. Episode 15 was essentially Basara the Hypocrite. He refuses to be an instructor for the Batroids and harangues Mylene for wanting to be a pilot, then goes on to joke around with the bikers and instructs them on how to be a pilot, despite that they'd be out there to fight as well. I get that Basara is working towards a goal, that Ray implies that they both know what they're doing, and Mylene doesn't understand yet. Ray, hi- sorry, Ray has his idealism based on losses from the past, but with Basara, we have no major motivations yet. He just seems belligerent until we reach the point where music finally does something in the way of defending people, which it no doubt will. Every Macross series has its own theme in that way. SDF Macross had music bringing us together. Macross Plus, instantly my metaphor falls apart because I'm not sure. And Macross 7 seems to be about the healing effects of music.
Well, I mean, Macross Plus, it's about dealing with the wounds of the past.
Yeah, I was trying to
And
build
so
a
now,
metaphor about what the music represented in the show. SDF Macross is clearly bringing two belligerent sides together. Macross 7, healing. Macross Plus was literally mind control, so I don't know where to go where with that metaphor.
or I think it's more like the true spirit of music because you have the AI Sharon emulating what Miyung, which was the name I forgot last time, who's the real voice, right? And that's the real voice that wins after at the end, right? Because she
So,
sings.
Macross Plus is a warning against Milli Vanilli?
Probably.
I mean, that would be a contemporary reference if you think about it.
Yeah. Well, I think this happened before this scandal broke, but yeah,
Well, Macross Plus was 90s, right?
yeah,
Yeah, Milli Vanilli was 90s.
yeah. But it's not exactly the
Girl,
same
you
time. I
know
think.
it's true.
Yeah, it's true that you didn't sing that, bastard, you bastard. Uh, well, that
Yeah.
actually happened with several groups, by the way. CNC Music Factory was also infamous for that as well.
Right. I think the problem with Milli Vanilli was, well, one, like one of the big ones came up first, but also they didn't really have anything to do with the music at all. They
They
were
just,
just dancing on stage, pretending. Whereas other people are like using their own singing as backing for themselves, which is, I guess, a little bit more respectable. You know, ah man, I really can't sing tonight, but they're expecting a performance. I better give them something.
uh,
All right, let's see. Additionally, episode 15 had Michael having to spell out to Mylene that grown-ups have sex. Macross 7 came out in the 90s. I find it hard to believe that anyone would think a 14-year-old girl wouldn't understand the concept.
well, I think that I mean, she actually understands the concept because she actually calls her mom saying, "Hey, you're a trooper for having nine, eight, nine kids, right? And you still look the same."
That implies she knows
But
how kids are born.
yeah,
Multiple times when pressed with the idea, what was Basara doing in that room all night? Playing cards, is what she says. She says it multiple times,
yeah,
like to insult Basari, like, you want to go play cards? Until Michael shows up in the whatever you're calling McDonald's in the show
yeah,
to say, what do you think they were doing?
yeah.
Alright, see. So the mind controlled humans the enemy has are being controlled by a certain frequency being sent into their helmets. Basara and Ray are constantly changing the tune of their song in an alien language that Mylene, someone that can read notes and play music, cannot understand. Obviously, the implication is that Ray and Basara know what this frequency is in general, but are still trying to find what it is exactly through testing. That every time Basara goes out and sings at the bad guys, he's trying to narrow that frequency down till he gets it right. Might be the information all those scientists working on Operation M are working on. In which case, you pointing out that whatever Basar is doing isn't working is the point of the scenes, and this was just the payoff to the part of the mystery being laid out before us. Well, that and the introduction to a new second half of the mystery. Where did Ray and Basara get that information from? Especially if this is the first time the Macross 7 has ever been attacked by this group before. That and the fact we know that this group is using fighters taken from an expedition that was looking into a planet in a different system. So if they all went missing and came back brainwashed by whoever Geppernick and gang are, what's going on with that planet? And did everyone get coma brainwashed?
Yeah. I mean, the problem with this is again, we have 49 episodes plus OVAs. Uh and this is stuff that okay, here's the thing. It has a lot of the problems of a mystery box where we throw in the idea. I know they don't have because they actually do have I do know for the fact they do have something to do with
Let
it. So you
me
actually have an answer.
I understand where you're about to go. Let me just take a sentence from a future thought and just let me tack it on here real quick just so I can address what you're about to say and then let you go on. Future thought is what I really feel like is going to happen is that there will be a watershed moment down the line where everyone is going to reveal everything that they know, and the possible intent is to give the show a rewatchability factor where you then look for all the clues you missed the first time around.
Yeah, but okay. Here's the thing: as a writer, you can actually lay down the clues, but also you can pull the trick of like, ah, so this is my conclusion. Let me work back from my conclusion. Like Saw, yeah. Remember episode 10 where we said this? We truly intended for this to happen, right? So you can work both ways. In order for that to be effective, and if it were to wear that, you have to convince me that those little clues actually amount to something. Because one of the things that happens is that, yeah, Ray seems to know what's going on, but Basara, the problem is we don't have a background for why Basara is the way he is, right? That's the problem. We understand his motivations in the most simple way. He wants to bring music to the galaxy. He wants to be like Ling Min Mei, right? He wants to be that of this generation. He wants to help people out. He's a pacifist. But we don't know what motivated him to do that, right? And how he hooked up with Ray, etc. That's something that should have been. We should have getting more hints about that sooner. Like he's like, oh yeah, no, you don't know Ray's background. Like, and Madeline is like, do you? It's like, no, I don't know. And being that he's Basara, he doesn't seem to be lying. He's just like, I don't know, and I don't care, right? Oh, this thing has missiles. What it has missiles? They put them there. It's like, I don't know. Okay, fine, I'll keep the missiles, right? He even doesn't seem to know all the modes of his own guitar mech, right? Like he's sort of discovering it. He's a great pilot. It's like, okay, where do you find this great pilot who happens to be a singer and and a guitarist? You modify what at times should have been an experimental fighter, right? Which is unique in this place because nobody else has a VF-19 to solve a problem nobody saw coming, right? Like, oh, here's the thing. Knowing that I do have future knowledge, and I don't want to spoil, but let's say that this situation is very unique to the series, and that's gonna leave it at that.
I have thoughts to what you said, but I think I think the problem that you're having is not a problem that I'm specifically having. I am happy enough with the sprinkling of clues that the narrative of the mystery is literally all that I'm interested in at the moment. It is the moments of dumb world building that I have the problems with the most. The fact that I don't know why Basara is here, that Ray chose him to be the guy, like we got from Akiko's telling us of why Ray is doing what he's doing, is just another thing that I want to find out. And I'm not too much bothered by the fact that the show hasn't told us outright because I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt that it's holding it back for a reason. And I don't have that big of a problem of what I said before. If it's doing everything for rewatchability factor, so that you could go back to previous episodes and be like, oh, that thing that he said actually had a double meaning, or the reason why he did that thing back when all the guys were trying to beat him up out of the subway was for this reason. I don't really have a problem with that. Obviously, we laugh, we say, oh, this is fucking dumb in the moment. But the more it goes on, the more I kind of appreciate these little background one-off elements. Like, I keep going back to the music sheet with alien hieroglyphs all over it, which, you know, could most people could just forget about. But the fact for me, it's just like it's a linchpin in my whole what's going on here theorizing.
Yeah, but the problem I have is that if you're going to do a mystery, you have to properly set it up, and I don't think they've done enough, especially on Basara's side. It's not that they should just tell me outright, but they haven't. Other than, oh, I don't like to kill people. I get angry. People get killed, and I'm a militant pacifist that sometimes uses force to help people out. We're talking about watching Kenichi, the mightiest disciple. Uh, and he has a thing where he is like, "Oh, I don't want to fight with people. Um, you know, I'll, even if you get hurt, I'll go and help you." But he will fight to protect others, right? and he gets really mad, especially when his would-be girlfriend gets hurt. Even though she, for most of the anime, certainly, and even the manga, she's leagues better than he is. At least when it comes to actual techniques and all that. This is a fighting anime manga thing. Kid who goes and becomes the mightiest disciple of martial arts. It's a pretty straightforward concept. At least we get to know that, and we get to see, we get something other than, oh, I just don't like it. And when he gets questioned, is like, I don't have to explain this to you. You don't get it. Like
I
that kind of
mean,
attitude. It's just like, oh, what are you trying to do? I don't, whatever. You
Kenichi
don't
doesn't
get it.
have some massive backstory mystery going on, though. All
Yeah,
of these
true,
guys,
but
at best, you have what's the backstory of the hard ass drunk who seems to insult me all the time. Oh, he's a real nice guy if you get to know him. It's just
yeah, but
everyone
the thing
is
is
who
that
they are.
this is, I mean, it comes to the point where it's like he never, when every time the show literally brings it up, it's like, oh, Basar, what's your deal? I don't have to tell you about that. You know, I don't care. If you're not smart enough to figure it out, then that's your problem. I'm
My
like,
my thing is I don't
bitch.
care. I also just don't care, right? Basara's story will be interesting, I'm sure, at some future date, but at the moment, until he tells me, I just don't really care. He's not the linchpin holding everything together for me. I have a future comment about who the linchpins are, but I don't really care. He's an annoying guy who's like, I feel like Ray's weapon, if anything.
I mean, yeah, but that just makes him stupid. I think that's the problem. It's like
Fine.
he's being used, and it's like I don't care if I'm being used. No, he gets angry, and then it goes like, whatever.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, but
like,
until he does something to, like, I don't know, ruin everything, I just don't really care. I mean,
yeah,
if
but
he becomes self-important and then goes out of his way that ruins things and like hurts people, then fuck off, man. But until
in a way,
then,
he does. He already did in that last episode. It's like Mylene was about to just finish these guys up, and he gets in the middle. It's like, don't you kill them? It's like,
right, but the
and she's like,
implication is that hey, these are all people too, and they're not doing it because they want to.
yeah,
They're
but he
doing it.
didn't. He didn't know that
We
though.
don't know that he didn't know that. Again, my whole
That's the thing.
implication here is that they did know that. You might have forgotten the beginning here that they've known that there's a frequency thing going on, and Ray has some information that I don't know how the fuck he has it, but they know that there's a frequency that they're trying to crack, and that's what every time he goes out and sings is he's trying to narrow down that frequency. And that's
Yeah,
what the
no, I think.
hieroglyphic paper sheet was.
Yeah, yeah, but the thing is that you're jumping to a conclusion that
Yes,
the
exactly.
show, the show hasn't supported.
No,
If the
the
show
show.
had
No,
given
no,
you
no,
a
no.
little,
The show has supported it. I didn't jump to
no,
no conclusion. I am using
the
the
show,
information given to me by the show.
yeah, but the show hasn't supported that Basara knows. He's just sort of like, I
Here's
don't
the
know.
difference. Here's the difference. This is not a theory. This is a hypothesis. A hypothesis is based on facts given to form a a thing that could happen. A theory is just out of nowhere. I say a theory, then I try to form a hypothesis off that theory. This is all supported with facts from the show.
The show hasn't sold it to me yet.
I know, I
When it
know. That's
does,
why I keep spitting it back out at you to try and get your buy-in. I'm trying to raise your buy-in bit by bit.
and it goes back to something I said earlier. The show seems to be, it's very interesting when we're talking about the aliens, which we still don't have a name for them, what they're doing, what they're not doing. Fine, we get bits and pieces every time they're putting the thing together and giggle, giggle, yeah. Attacking because he's literally a space vampire. He just wants to feed. Okay, fine, that's the thing. Okay, sure. And the Macross doing the thing, and they're panic and all that, and they're fighting them off. And then it's like Ray even knowing supposedly what they're doing. Okay, they have their secret project for whatever reason. But then Bazaar just was like, "What's up, dudes? I'm just gonna sing to you guys." Oh man, you left. What a bummer. Oh well, I'll try again
Even
later.
a horrible
Bye.
impersonation of Bassard. He does not talk that way at all. He is way too energetic to talk that way.
Yeah, but that's my underlying reading of how I feel about the whole thing, rather than admitting Bizarro, because it's like, oh yeah, he's excited and all that, yeah, and it's like, oh no, You guys left, but I was singing to you. Oh, nobody sticks around. I gotta go back. You know, I like Basara when he's actually more energetic. Like, I'm gonna risk save my lane. Screw it. I'm gonna punch you this right. When he's more effective, he doesn't have to kill people. He just has to do something other than strum his Guitar Hero control set. Which is but that's the thing. He's more exciting when he's saving my lane. When he's not fighting the guys, it's like, I'm not gonna fight you because I'm a pacifist. And they're like, oh, we're gonna kick your ass. I'm like, no, dude, you can't touch me. I'm not gonna fight back, but I'm not gonna touch you, right? When he actually stepped and started fighting because my lane got hurt, well, because she got pushed to the ground, right? And it's like, okay, now I'm gonna do right. Those are interesting things to me because they seem like, hey, I'm trying to see something about Batara is actually doing here, right? Like, okay, he's doing stuff. Even the whole thing when he stays with the girl overnight with Rex, it's like, well, at least he maybe he had some interest in her or something like that. But for all his fire, there's no bomb going off there, right? He's all fire, no bomb.
I think the difference between us is that I'm broad strokesing Basara, and you're looking at like the day to day. I don't care about the day to day Basara. That's where
But
your
that's
problem
a
lies, is that you're analyzing his day to day.
but the thing is, we spend so much time just doing the day to day, forcing him to go to more concerts, doing the recordings, showing the fact that the tracks are going up in numbers. Like they were started at 90 something or something like now they're number 10, something like that, right?
They're number 8 last episode.
No,
We saw them get a
oh,
number in,
so
but
they're the top, or clearly they're in the top 20. We talk about top 20 radio, they're
well, yeah,
already
we
there.
went from the guy at the record store saying, "Turn that off or I'll fire you,"
Yeah.
to top 10.
Yeah, so clearly, I mean, again, that's interesting if you were to focus more on like, oh, what's the effect of Firebomber on the people, right? Except to having a whole
Well,
episode where they're,
we know what it is. Number spiritual radiates.
but more than that, more like,
No,
I
you
like
mean
the fact that
more
they
than
all,
that. That's the point of the show.
yeah, okay. What I'm saying is there's also a sort of a political dimension. The show has introduced a political dimension because Mylene talks about the people, right? So it's like, oh, hey, people are, this is helping people cope with the situation, right? The old folks and the kids and all that. But then you have Asara go like, yeah, I'm gonna still have this aerial dogfight. I'll shoot back the guys when there's tons of little kids down below me. I guess I'll drive them away or something, and Mylene's like, "You stupid idiot! Just shoot them already,
I
right?"
mean, none
It's
of that
like,
really makes sense. I mean, why would you have a concert for the kids when literally the last concert you had featured the infiltrators jumping out of the woodwork to attack you? Anywhere you have a concert is at risk.
in fact, I find the fact that the enemy wants to just outright kill him more interesting than whatever the
Well,
Bazaar is
that's
doing.
only a
And
recent
now,
development.
and still, that's I find them. Oh, finally, they want to kill this guy. Okay, cool, fine. They want to do something. It just feels like when it comes to him, everything seems to be frozen. Everything's moving around him, but he's like, just me.
Yeah, like I said, he is Ray's weapon in my perspective.
Uh,
The fact that he has a VF-19 is he might as well be the VF-19. We don't talk about the character of Hikaru's Valkyrie. We talk about Hikaru. In this case, we should be talking about Ray, not Basara.
but the show doesn't focus on him, so that's the
It
thing.
kind of does. It kind of does. And I would argue that it focuses more on Mylene than it does Basara.
Well, Mylene is more interesting character
Yeah,
overall. She's
because
actually
she's a
going through the
character. Basara
yeah,
might as well just be the VF-19 right now.
which is a waste of time because if he's supposed to do all these things that ultimately, well, wins the day or at least turns the tide or whatever happens, it could be, he becomes a weapon or he actually becomes a protector of the ship, etc. I'm not seeing the progression. We're nearly 20 episodes in, and I'm like,
Just to clarify,
this.
when I say he's Ray's weapon, I mean, or he's like Ray's tool. I don't think he's
Yes,
gonna
I
become a
understand.
weapon.
Yeah, I mean, whatever he does, I'm not seeing it. And when it happens, it's accidental. It's like, Oh yeah, we got invited to this VIP concert at the mansion of your mom's mansion. Okay, let's go. Right? It's like he's not like, oh man, there's who is that guy? Right? He doesn't even ask like basic questions like, who the hell is that guy in that bed? What else? Oh, we're just gonna play because
We got to do
you
like
know,
a contest or something where you do your Basara impression, see who can guess what character from anime you're impersonating.
yeah. I mean, yeah, he's energetic in the oh yeah, I'm a performer and I want to get into this. But aside from that, he's like, I don't care. He's like, yeah, I just want to sing.
All
That's
right.
it. I mean, Hikaru for being a jackass like 2/3 of the time, I found him more interesting. He had worries. He had, he was worried about surviving. It's like people are, he would make comments. I'm like, no, hey, the news is lying to you, mate. It really is hard, right? He had an energetic life, romantic life. It was like, oh, hey, do I go with this girl? Right? Yeah, Hikaru may not have been at the center of most of the story in the sense of that he's the prime motivator. Although eventually he does because he becomes the commander of the fleet, right? He's like, he actually Tokyo the Global. It's like, yeah, we should do this, we should do that, right? It's like, okay, sure, let's do that,
It'll
right?
be great
Uh,
when we do a character ranking post Macross 7. Get the
yeah.
Macross Plus characters in there. Um, yeah, I
Again,
think it'll
I know
surprise you.
I know you don't like the characters in Macross Plus because there's a lot of reasons, and that's fine. For the reasons I like it, there's reasons you don't like it.
I was
Fine.
looking at the board the other day when I was updating it, and I was like, oh man, it's a real shame Macross 7 characters don't tie into anything. It's like, well, actually, technically, Newman now kind of has a tie in since he developed the YF-19, and now we have the VF-19 in the show that kind of objectively makes him important to the Macross storyline outside of Macross Plus.
Isamu was also a big talker, but at least he's like, yeah, I want to fly. And this is, and he kind of felt like he also was his last chance, right? Because he was at the bottom. He screwed up so many times. If he screws this time, he said, screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway, right? He has that motivation. What's his name? Gold also had a motivation. Like, I want to be the very best. I want to beat this guy because this guy's always, beating me. And I want to get the girl, right? Young is like, I'm trying to find my new way because my old life didn't work for me. So now I'm doing this. The creepy guy who was trying to update the AI is like, wow, I want to see the
Newman.
supremacy of AI. Yeah. No,
Oh,
not
no, no.
human.
Yeah, the other
The
guy,
other.
the manager.
Newman is like, well, yeah, Newman was like, I'm a fighter, but I really am a
You
hunter,
said
right? I want
creepy
to punch
guy,
you.
so I thought Newman.
Yeah, I mean, there more than one creepy guy in the show, right?
He sexually assaulted an AI. Let's not mince words. That's a creepy
Yeah,
guy sentence.
he, yeah, he tried to kidnap her, uh,
Well,
and
no, I mean, he
and so
publicly tried to have sex with her in the middle of a concert by hacking her and forcing her to come on to him, and was surprised when she came on to somebody else.
even AI have the rules of aware on the rule consent, and there's the politics of it all. Like this is the anniversary, and then they're developing these fighters, but it's like screw it, we're gonna go automate it, with the drones.
What a massive surprise that I enjoy Macross 7 more without all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, stuff is happening and people have motivations. Everybody seems to have a motivation except Basara, who is like, I just want to sing. So, okay, fine. Cool. Cool, dude. Sure.
All right, now you got your hate out of the way. I have two comments left, by the way.
I figured as much.
I'm surprised that Physica was the one they decided to kill. I mean, as it turns out, he is as old or older than Gamlin, what with a child and a wife already. But the way he's been introduced and treated thus far, he's like the new recruit. The fact he's followed Gamlin into everything and was the stand in for Docker this whole time. If anyone was going to die, I expected it to be Kinryu. If not for anything else, Kinryu was old guard as a part of Ray's old squadron, and if anyone in Macross 7 was a Roy stand in, it's Kinryu, squad leader and womanizer. Plus, he's the only one that doesn't directly follow with Gamlin when he stands up for something. Ah,
Nothing
deep
to say about that.
introspection. Okay, got it.
He's character we've seen before, but he clearly was built up in that episode just to die. You knew that he was going to die, right?
No, could have been a rug pull, right?
Yeah, no, but they played it straight.
During the
And
fleet
also,
attack, sorry, you go ahead.
they already kind of did a rug pull with what happened with Ray. It was like, oh, Ray is dying. Ray is dying. No, he ended up in the hospital anyway. They saved him the last moment. So yeah.
Well, you were the only one that got rug pulled there. I said he wasn't gonna die, and he didn't die. It didn't feel like a Ray dying episode. Actually, what it felt like was another hint towards that big old song thing I keep talking about. During the fleet attack, Giggle says that the weapons don't have to hit them, just invoke terror, which we know means to raise their spiritual levels, since he means to harvest them. Except that when asked to do with the what to do with the point defenses, Captain Max says to do nothing, as they just mean to scare us. Yet another hint that Max knows what is going on and what the enemy is after, which of course makes sense as we've seen him meeting with Ray in secret and is in control over Operation M. So if Ray and Basara know about the frequency stuff, then there's no reason Max might not know about the spiritual stuff and has been concealing it from everyone we've seen him talking to, but not the people already in the loop, like his wife. Confusingly, that makes Fulmo's near revelation from the beginning that he didn't tell Max that much more peculiar. And that's when I go on into the watershed moment of and rewatchability comment that I already said.
No, I don't think that's at all. I think it was supposed to show how he's still a genius. Like he
No,
can read
the
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 enemy.
genius moment was aim 5 degrees to the left of the fleet. They'll move there, and then Fulmo says, "Ah, the intuition of a genius."
Yeah, I think it's part of that too. I don't think it was like, oh, they're trying to scare us. Like, no. It's
So
like,
you're
yeah, these
saying that the guy in command of all the operations, right down to Ray and his whole thing, doesn't know secret information?
he might know secret information, but I don't think that at that moment it was designed to. I think you're trying to give him more knowledge that he may already have. Like he knows everything, and it's just like holding it back, which doesn't make any sense because if he knows everything, he would just make it happen, right?
Well, no,
So,
they have
and also,
Operation M.
yeah, but again, um, I think he's more trusting that Ray knows what he's doing. It's like, well, I know Ray. Ray's solid. I'm gonna keep supporting him, right? Like it's he's more like I think my attitude to him is like he doesn't know. He's more like I need options, and I'm not gonna disregard this option until I have absolute proof that it's not gonna work, right? So it's like, yeah, just keep doing it. If you guys work, fine. If you don't, doesn't matter. I tried it, but the shot is like, yeah, I can see. He's like, oh, I can see where the ships are. They're firing here. Don't worry about it. I've been in the situation before with the Macross. I know when the enemy wants to kill me and when they don't.
That
So
does.
there it
I
is.
completely disagree with you. There's no way this scene works for me unless Max knows about the Spiritua and the terror shit. Because otherwise, he has no idea if they're aiming at him or not. He doesn't have a line to Giggle when they're telling Giggle, "Hey," he says fire, and they say, "Well, we haven't finished aiming yet." And he goes, "Doesn't matter. We just want to scare them." If Max doesn't know about Spiritua and it's just fucking random guessing if they're gonna hit him or not, that
And it's
is
not random. No, I think he
it
can
is
read the
random. He doesn't
disposition.
know what they're aiming at. We
He
don't. This
actually, I
isn't
think
one of those sci-fi shows where they say, "Oh, we've got lock on, sir. They're locking onto us." It's crazy.
I'm
My benefit of the doubt to Max having more knowledge than he's giving away is the only thing that makes any of that work for me. If not, then it's just stupid sci-fi bullshit. And look, you are already fallen into the vat of hate with this show. I am trying to keep you out. I'm like trying to throw in the life preserver every so often. Hey, but what about this mystery thing? Come on, join me up here. It's dry up here.
it, again, the show hasn't done the work to convince me otherwise. When it does, yeah,
Look, I'm
fine.
also on the ride with you. This is the first time I'm seeing it myself as well. So
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
still
this is
invested.
my first. I haven't seen it before, but you know.
That's what I'm saying. I'm on the ride with you. If you had seen it before, you'd be the conductor of the ride. That's what I'm saying. This isn't like Macross Plus or SDF Macross, where you knew what was coming and I'm just sitting here watching. This is we're both on it, and I'm like invested. I'm happy with the story so far. Some of these episodes are stupider than others, but I think overall the mystery is keeping me latched on. And I'm waiting for, like you said, I anticipate there to be a watershed moment where, like, the dam breaks, all the mystery is let loose. Then you're meant to go back and, like, oh yeah, now all those things make sense, that sort of thing. And go, then we just deal. That's gonna be a sad moment when the watershed thing happens. I anticipate, and then it's just gonna be a straight action shit from there on out. It's gonna be all the fighter jet scenes that you could want.
I mean, we'll see. But I get the feeling that the show is trying, but it hasn't got me there yet. And also wasted a lot of time in filler stuff that is like, what are you doing? Right?
Again, even the filler stuff had little hints in it. That's why I'm like, that's why I'm apologist towards some of the stupid filler episodes, only because they added little things here and there where I would be hard pressed to remove them in order to keep all aspects of the mystery in line. Well, that was all of my thoughts. You have anything else to add before we get into it?
Yeah, not really.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into it then.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
You don't see Big Ben in the pan-out. Or the Eiffel Tower.
Which is weird. Or maybe they got introduced later. You know, it's like, yeah.
I don't remember. I don't remember the first time we see it is. I don't remember if Physica was all in the opening or not.
Well, we're no longer doing the, oh, remember 20 years ago there was this war and all that. We haven't done that in like
And no,
10 episodes.
I had to go back through a bunch of the episodes when I was trying to figure out where Gamlin's printout was so I can compare the two. I had one on one screen, one on the other screen. I was trying to see how much they lined up. And specifically if Gamlin had a head, hip, waist, whatever thing. Well, it's very surprising to me how much has actually happened in the last 17 episodes. It's like I keep trying to remember. It's like, okay, was it like episode 10 that happened? Episode 6? Things that I remember being really recent in the show happened a long time ago. It's funny,
now
you
we're
say
back.
it's been a while since we did one of these flashback things, and here we are.
And it's Ray who's doing it.
Is it?
Yeah, that's Ray's voice.
I was literally just about to say it's been a while since we heard the narrator, and then you're like, it's Ray. It's like, oh fuck, it's not the narrator.
戦団の中央にある居住館はシティセブンと呼ばれ、政治の中心でもある。他にリゾート館リビエラ、アミューズメント館ハリウッドなどがある。それぞれはミルキー
Oh, finally we get to know who these
I
ships
literally
are.
just told you what the Milky Road was. Thank you, Ray. Thank you for at least waiting till I got it.
またそれぞれの船には大型戦艦が接続され、さらにその周囲に数多くの戦闘艦が並び、未知の外敵から戦団を守っている。
I love them who got blown up, by the way.
シティセブンだけが遠く離れ離れにされてしまった。おかげで船団長でありバトルセブン艦長のマクシミリアン・ジーナスは困っている。
It is a weird breakdown. It feels like it assumes that you haven't watched the show before. Or you just really weren't paying attention to the fleet stuff. Again, I was literally just asking questions about the planet. I feel like I always just know when to ask questions about shit. It's a big old backpack, Eagle.
Okay.
Okay, so they're feeding their spiritua to a thing.
To someone.
Well,
See, now that
was pretty uncivil of them.
that was interesting.
Well, I mean, it informs us that they're not eating the spiritua.
And they did say where he comes from. Yeah, he did the unit, the Ixen battalion. Yeah.
焦らず待ちましょう。少しずつ記憶が戻るかもしれません。いずれにしろ彼の精神が戻ってきたことは確かです。歌の効果でしょう。
そうですね。
やったぜ。
何がじゃねえよお前。俺たちの歌が通じたってことだろ。
そうかな。
あのな、お前実感とかないわけ？伝わった手応えあったろ。
バサラが勝手に思ってるだけじゃないの？
おめえ分かってねえな本当に。
To be fair, it's not scientific just to assume coincidence is the thing.
レイまで単純に信じちゃうの？
鈍いんだよお前は。
何よ。
こうしちゃいられねえ。
どこ行くのよ。
ひらめいたんだよ。ずっと考えてた曲を完成させるきっかけがな。これで今度はあの男のすべての記憶を
What did I
蘇
say?
らせてみせるぜ。
He's automatically putting together the frequency
あれ
thing.
のおばさんですって？とにかく今日はご苦労様。ミレーヌ、ちょっと来なさい。お話があります。
何よ。
ミレーヌ、危険な真似はやめなさいって言ったはずよ。
ママったら怪我の治りが早い。さすがセントラーディね。
若いからよ。
そっ
Hey, now don't be racist.
じゃない、話をそらさないで。いいこと？
I mean, he's half Centrati, so.
Yeah, you can be racist against your own
少
race.
しでもママの手助けをしたいと思ったのに。
But I don't think he's being racist. Let's say she's praising the fact that she's a Centrati.
マリンさんとデートするとき、バルキリーに乗れないと困るのよ。
何それは？誰がバルキリーでデートしなさいと言いました？
市長、バトルセブンとコンタクトが取れました。
See, but I feel this is something that should have happened, again, I keep saying, like a couple of episodes ago, right?
そちらの状況は逆探知願います。はい、了解。艦長につなぎます。あ、応答願います。こちらバトルセブン。応答願います。シティセブン、応答願います。ダメです。更新が途切れました。
呼び出しを続けろ。
It's like they've got a group of infiltrators on board or something.
S3052 N2264 中域です。
意外と近いですな。
It's like we've got shit fold systems that don't go very far.
Oh, the box survived.
Yeah, we saw that.
And it's Basara's song.
子供の誕
We
生
heard
日だっ
that
たんです
too.
よ。それに間に合わせようと思って急いで作ったんですが、ちょうど2歳になるんですが、まだ僕の顔を覚えてくれなくて。
And he never will.
フィジカ。ガムリン、どうした？いえ、それはフィジカの遺品です。そうか。だが、今は干渉に浸っているわけにはいかんぞ。はい。お前はまだ独身だ。フィジカの本当の悩みや悲しみはもっと深いところにある。
So did you walk in here just to fucking insult me?
自分の役割を見失ってはいかんからな。分かっております。フィジカの家族はシティセブンにいると言ったな。いずれ機会を見て俺が彼の家族に報告に行かねばなるまい。ガムニン、フィジカのためにもシティセブンの人々を救わなくてはな。はっ。そして。
Oh, is that their motivation?
いえ。なんでも。
What the fuck is going on here?
若いとはいいことだ。こちら D フォース。
スクランブルスタンバイ。シティセブンの位置を確認。フォールドブースター使用。
了解。
That would have been a perfect going to commercial face. That weird little guitar riff and just freeze frame on Basara.
Those are our new lyrics. Or a new song altogether. But we're not getting translations of it, so.
Nah, he's working on it. He's just gonna pull it out during some new big thing. Oh,
there was not enough to bring you back?
I got it now. You saw the crystal that Sybil was in, right?
Yeah.
The thing that's floating in front of Lord Geppernick the entire time is crystal shaped. He's trying to put together the right amount of spiritual and the right amount of combinations to wake something up.
Themselves.
Right, right.
There's not enough to wake you up.
No, I got that. I was just working off of the whole, what the fuck is that thing floating in front of him? Now we finally understand what it is. And he's like trying to get very specific spiritual shit. Because we know it's like spiritual core C and all musical spiritual. Oh, those Greys, they're back at it again. I'm guessing that's Civil.
Yeah.
And Civil don't need no laser beams. I guess she's the opposite of Basara. Basara radiates spiritual outwards. She sucks it in.
これは市長、朗報です。何？今ポリスオフィスと通信中なのよ。
いえ、バトルセブンから護衛空母モモイが到着すると。
バトルセブンは？
少し遅れるようですが、間違いなくこちらへ向かうとのことです。これで一安心ですな。
遅すぎます。
何よ、サービスでやってんのに。
ここにモニターを集められるだけ集めて。
I love misunderstandings.
Well, I like the fact she goes from being, down to a wheelchair to having,
No, she was on a crutch last episode.
Yeah, but it's progressing, right? It's not. Oh, I guess she's that important.
What do you mean that? We have had the bridge bunnies that we still don't know the names of have their own transition scene.
Yeah.
Being in the transition does not make you important. Not arguing Sybil's not important. Clearly she is.
Well,
I'm sorry, did Sybil just take out a battleship?
apparently.
Well, this is... This is certainly new threat level.
T2 桃井3リーダー回線を開けガブリ 22OF 了解なんだあいつは
I mean, hell, we just got into contact, sent a ship, and got fucking destroyed.
I think it's a way of saying, "Oh, remember that the Macross took out a third of fleet. Let's update that too. These guys can do that."
Well, I just meant that this is the ship that first was supposed to make contact with City 7, and they just got here and fucking gone. Man, if terror raises your spiritual level, this person is just making terror and taking names.
いえ許可はしておりませんただ東郷軍がいない今報道管制が
Oh, that doesn't paint a very good picture of the government, does it? Hey, you know, now the military isn't here, we're not bound by their censorship. So I'm just thinking back to that South Park episode now. Is this gonna be the Cool Island song to melt her hot heart?
D2 より D1 隊長隊長 D1 応答願います女が飛んできた
Told you, Tenryu had Roy energy. I guess he's only gone the way of Doctor now, because I don't think he's dead.
Dodge, dude.
I mean, fair, what's he gonna do? Civil took out a whole battleship. I don't think Gamblin here has a chance. I'm sorry, did you try to speaker pod a person?
Yeah.
Huh. Anima, not musician. Oh, don't tell me Civil works on Predator rules. What a weird response. Well, when he first sung, she went blah. Like, what a weird response. Maybe he is a weapon. She found his music to be so distasteful. That's why they want to assassinate him. His special chord C is literally a weapon against them. To be fair, they only destroyed one ship of the defense fleet. Yeah, someone want to go save Gamlin and Kinryu, please?
一体何が起こったんだ。俺は幻を見たのか。隊長。いやー、すごかった。どうですか、お気持ちは。
I mean, assuming that whatever she does works the same way as the lasers do, we know how to bring him back at least. Gamlin spends more time in the hospital than Hikaru ever did.
I mean, he didn't get anything sucked out of him, so
No.
he
I'm
just had
thinking.
wonder.
I just had the thought. Gamlin reacts negatively to Basara's song as well, like physical distress, putting him in the same category as Sybil. I mean, I don't know what the fuck that means. It's just an observation, though.
Oh, great. He's looking over this friend's kid.
Well, Kinryu can't deliver the message anymore, remember?
Yeah.
So now he's the only one left in the squadron.
Okay, that was weird. So he was looking at someone else.
It's either that or Physia was lying. Physia. I keep calling Physia. Physica. Either that or Physia
I don't
was
think
lying. I don't know. They're at City 7. And I think I am right. Kinryu can't deliver the message anymore, so it's down to Physica.
To Gamlin.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe he was watching random people. Although your wife may have been cheating on you this whole time.
Or Maybe they got divorced.
Or, since the almost near death of humanity, you're expected to have multiple wives? I don't know.
No, I
So,
don't think that's how it works. Oh,
look,
no, no.
I have made a long commentary before about how crazy it is. Civil, unnamed voice actress again. About how fast humans reproduced in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like we're working with Star Wars numbers here. You know, where every planet has a really small population, but every planet is occupied as well. I don't know. This was an interesting episode. We now know what they're doing with the spiritua. Apparently, they're not eating it themselves. They're saving it for someone
Well,
else.
I guess they do consume it, but they need it to wake up.
Well, they needed
That's
to
why they're in
wake up
stasis.
something else. I guess that was the planet. Which
Yeah.
also a weird planet to send an expedition force to, because it looks like just a broken up comet. Really.
Us. We only see like a canyon, so.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we got a outward shot of it, and then zoomed in to see the canyon.
Oh, you
Certainly, it
always
looks
try
like
to.
a Hoth.
大変ガブリンさん怪我してるのに出撃しちゃったよ。
ビートを感じるか。
バトルセブン早く助けに来て。次回落ちていく小悪魔。
溢れる思いは流線形だ。
Looked like Milia's Valkyrie got its head cut off.
Yeah, but that's not where the cockpit is at. So.
Well, I mean, still not great. I'm
No.
going to assume that the sensors package would be in the head.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why have a head? But yeah, no, I mean, we found out what they're doing with the Spiritua. Found out that Giggle did his whole attack and all of his little attacks so far to just kind of like siphon off a bunch of Spiritua to wake somebody else up.
Somebody he knows, but somehow she doesn't remember him.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
he just woke up. You know, this could be a Rita Repulsa moment.
It could be family member, perhaps?
After 500,000 years, I'm free! Time to conquer Earth! Lings.
Yeah, I wasn't. I know what you're talking about, but I wasn't a Power Rangers kind of guy.
Yeah, well, I
Never got
was.
into it.
Every day I came home from school, watched the new episode.
Mm.
I'm just saying. Don't have enough to wake you up.
And we finally see Basara do something that, well, aside from helping the other people, but in combat, like in space, is like, aha, I'm being effective.
Again, that reaction. Blah! And starts crying. It's like, what the fuck? That is the worst reaction to your song you could ever get. But again, it's so in line with how Gamlin responded to being tortured with his music that it's like, huh, these two might have similar spiritua. Look, I'm just gonna throw it out there. Shot in the dark, Gamlin's new love interest. Civil. Only because I'm assuming we're gonna get more of this. Whatever this is has to be like the first one, because we know that they're trying to wake more people up.
It also means that they, in their natural form, they're pretty effing powerful too.
Yeah, we went the other way. Like, we had giants that we had to develop fighting machines to combat against, and now it's just people-sized stuff that can take out battleships and...
Yeah, it's giant aliens with giant boobs. It's tiny aliens with giant boobs taking out entire fleets.
Space, alien, vampire, elf... 500,000 years old.
Yeah, big booby. Now she's like big booby 14-year-old, but she's 500,000 years old, so I guess it's okay.
Well, to be fair, I cannot tell what her age is. Based on her appearance,
No.
I would think she was older. I don't think she's a Punky Brewster situation.
I hope not.
But yeah, again,
this is anime, so I wouldn't put it past them.
The idea that her and Gamlin have the same reaction to Basara's songs just tells me something is up with Gamlin. And I don't know. Clearly he has a thing for Mylene, but Mylene clearly taking us, I think, for Basara. I feel like there's going to be a situation in which Sybil is going to try and understand humanity or something like that. That's kind of the thing that happens in Macross.
Mm-hmm.
And who best to bring it in than the guy who literally shares the thing that you hate. Hate brings us together, is the message of the 2020s. What was the other thing? Oh, Lord Geppennick's visual thing. It
Uh-huh.
obviously looks like a crystal. We can figure that out now. And Lord Geppennick has clearly been collecting certain types of spiritua in order to. Well, we know they need enough to wake them up, but also, I guess, I don't know, I guess the spiritua forms a crystal in their own mind too. But also, if they're trying to wake themselves up with enough spiritua, why are they trying to farm spiritua?
So they can wake up more people, because if they just gobble up all of it, that's it, they're done. Then they can't wake everyone else. They probably have thousands, millions of them in this planet, right?
I don't know. When you're that strong, I think the common trope is super strong, very few.
But also remember that the first thing she did when she woke up was to get even more spiritual,
Yeah.
right? She just didn't stick around. It's like, oh, thank you for reviving me. Giggly is like, oh, I'm gonna feed, and she went. In fact,
Always giggly.
giggle. And she's so powerful that she doesn't have a spacesuit or anything. She just flies off, and apparently is able to jump fold as well, because by herself, right? Because we don't know how close they are to this planet.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name from Pluto. That's what I was gonna go with. Like a big old energy shield got around
Yeah.
her. I mean, assumedly went into hibernation for some reason. So yeah, must have
I mean, if we're doing,
large energy requirements to stay
I
awake.
mean, if we're doing the Wraith comparison to Atlantis, the reason why they went into hibernation is because their food was dying out, so they have to wait for the food to come back. So the farming means that they have a guaranteed source of food.
Do you think Basara poisons the well?
He disrupts it clearly. That's one of the things that they have been saying from the very beginning.
No,
He disrupts it.
No, I don't mean the regeneration thing, or even the thing we saw this episode where she like recoils from it. Like, do the people he regenerates with his song then also have a spiritua that she won't like?
Now
Like,
that would be a cool idea.
that's what I mean. Is he poisoning the well? Like, by everyone that's listening to his song, is someone that they aren't going to be able to feed on or won't want to feed on? So it's not so much a, hey, let's be popular #1 band. It's a, hey, let's inoculate everyone to the spiritual farm.
Mm-hmm. Well, in which case, they certainly want him dead. That would explain why they want him dead and not captured. Because my previous theory was like, oh, let's capture Basara because he's the one special. See, so we can use him or people like him to keep regenerating the spiritual. But if he's is sour milk, as it were, for them, sour in the milk, a little salt to sour the milk, then it's like, oh, we have to get rid of him because otherwise, whoever listens to his song, and if it's really about the song that he's playing, I mean, he certainly has spiritual, but also might be
He
about the
has
song he's playing.
special spiritual chord C is what he does.
Yeah.
When when everyone's doing the boombox thing, splitting up, doing all that, and they're scanning everyone, it's like, this is the song that has spiritual chord C. No one around here that we've scanned has it.
Yeah.
We can't find him.
Mm-hmm.
So that explains why they're looking for him. Don't know if you could boombox Civil.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a difference between hearing the song or hearing the singer.
Yeah. I think, ironically, if this stuff had happened earlier, I would have been like, oh, okay, I see where you're going with this. But because they're like, no, we're gonna have to do the filler, and we're gonna do the, and you're gonna, and have again and again Basara going out and going like, it's like, okay, you're not doing anything, really.
Oh, sorry guys, it looks like Les's fell back in the tub again.
Yeah, so
we pulled him out just
I
for the
mean-
episode, but he fell back in the post.
I mean, the episode is good. It's just that, again, I complained this before. The whole thing feels stretched out in a way that, to me, feels unnecessary. Like I mentioned that, let's be honest, the OVAs we watch right now, whether you like Macro Plus or not, have been far more efficient with their time.
My problem
than
is
the
the
series.
example I go to is Macross Zero. I liked Macross Zero a lot, which was one more
Yeah, so did I.
episode than Macross Plus. Yeah, but you said the OVAs, and then went right to the one that you know that I hate.
No, I
So-
mean, even I make that point because even though I know you don't like it as much as I do, which is apples and oranges ultimately, it is both of them are far more efficient with their time. I mean, the nature of OVAs, of course, but also nature of OVAs is that they do cut out a lot of things as well. It's like, oh, we could tell you about all this stuff that might be important, but we'll put it in a magazine or something, and or a video game and forget about it. That too can happen. But when the Macross team up to this point is given a tighter and, I want to argue, bigger budget, exception being the movie, which was just a kind of compression and changing a couple of things, which I liked, but it does have its problems. They seem to be more efficient in their storytelling than when they're giving it a whole series.
I don't mind the inefficiencies because of the sprinkling of the mystery. And I know I just keep regurgitating that point, but the sprinkling of the mysteries is what led to most of this post-discussion conversation, going back over, oh, this thing from a previous episode kind of mixes with what happened here, and this other aspect of what Pissarro's doing kind of gives you the impression that this is what's going to happen there. All of those little things throughout all the episodes that didn't seem to make a lot of sense are slowly adding up. And I'm fine because I feel like the payoff is coming. I don't feel like there's no payoff to be had. So, if I felt like all of those things weren't adding up, like they were just disparate islands in a sea of story that weren't coming together and not being connected at all, that would be a completely different case. I'd be right there with you.
I don't think that there's not going to be a payoff. I think I feel that we might end up being shortchanged.
No,
Maybe
I
not
feel
you,
like
but
the payoff is happening. That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like I don't know what it's called. Like when you watch a show and they're like connecting the dots and you see all these like lines doing all across like in an animation. I feel like that's what I'm watching. I'm visually watching a thing happen, and then all the dots in my head are connecting together, and I feel like the payoff is coming. I feel that we're on the verge of something here. And if it was like, I don't fucking understand this, nothing. If this was a Sharon Apple, how the hell are they being mind controlled situation, I would be so off put. But this, I feel like everything's coming together. I understand it. Now, I know you don't agree with a lot of my hypotheses, but
I mean, you can still be right, but it might not be enough for me.
No, that's what I'm saying. I understand that you don't agree with them, and that means like a bunch of the stuff that are in like my dotted lines aren't connecting for you. I understand that because I was there with the Sharon Apple shit, but at the same time, it's working for me. I guess at the end of the day, I'm happy that I didn't. If I'm gonna like one thing, not like another thing, I'm happy that I didn't like Macross Plus, and I can enjoy the longer series. I'm saying if I had to not like something and then like something, because obviously the thing is we both like SDF Macross. You liked Macross Plus, I didn't. You're having a hard time with Macross 7. I don't feel like I am, so we're just kind of like on opposite sides in that branch off of shows.
Well, we do enjoy both Zeros, so we have that commonality as well.
I didn't even consider that. Zero is still my number one. So
Zero is not my number one, but it's close to it. So,
well, I mean, it's also my first contact with Macross, so it's kind of hard to separate yourself from that. Anyway, any final thoughts here about this episode?
Nope.
All right, well,
I am looking forward to what happens next because I do find whoever Civil is to be intriguing and what she represents.
It's something brand new. Like, every enemy thus far has been on our level. Even Giggle and Gang are just people in mech things. This is like Zool just showed up. You know, are you a god? Anyway, that is us for today. Once again, I am Theta. This is Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?